Manx Radio Podcasts, powered by Shaw.
Hello and welcome to our weekly Women Today podcast. On the programme this week, we asked if you would have a male midwife and spoke to Mark Harris from Birthing for Blokes. We met local treasure Ruby Midgell from the Fairy Cottage filling station in Laxey, found out how best parents can deal with their kids' exam stress, and we caught up with award-winning PC Lou the morning after the annual Chief Constable Awards. But first, it was a certain someone's rather large birthday a week ago. So my darling co-hosts Beth and Jo sprang a surprise to start the week.
Best of my good afternoon. It's Monday and this is Women Today on Manx Radio with me, Beth Espy.
Me, Christy DeHaven.
And me, Jo Pack.
Yay!
Oh, you remembered.
I made it in all the way from Peel. This is so good to be back with you guys.
Oh, it's great for
come
us
on,
too.
Quicker.
Sorry.
I'd forgotten what she looks like. Oh, she's gorgeous, isn't she?
Oh, a bit of a tan.
Yeah, you're very brown.
Yeah, that's from sitting outside in the garden. I'm very lucky,
Sorry,
aren't I?
working very hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing some research.
Obviously.
Yes.
Research into tans, perhaps. But first,
Christy, it's your birthday. God bless you this day. You gave us the gift of a foxy sister, and we're proud of you today.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear sunshine. Happy birthday to you.
we're not even a week late, I don't think, actually. But happy birthday. Do you feel different being, that age?
No, actually. No, I feel
Didn't you get
exactly the same.
Get asked that with every sort of birthday when you're a child. Do you feel
Yeah.
different today? Do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
When I hit 40, it's quite funny. I keep telling people over and over again, because I'm 41 now. I don't know why I keep saying it for
We
some
had this
reason.
discussion briefly last week on the show, actually, because I was saying at the time, I said the thing that's always infuriated me, why people see the need to put a number after themselves. Because you're not the number, you're the person.
So you're saying
that-
I'm infuriating. Yes, you're probably not alone there. I think I'm infuriating to
Oh,
lots of people.
we've missed
but
you, Jo.
we have only just started to celebrate your birthday today, obviously, because we're a full team together. It's not because we want you to get more and more attention, because it is going on way too long now.
It's even nearly longer than your 40th.
I know. I'm not happy, but I have just heard Jamie say, because you obviously had a video done by all your friends, which is where that's
which you
come
just
from.
heard Joe and Lou singing and Uncle Bernie singing. Oh.
And I did just hear our guest, which will be revealed in a minute, just say, "Oh, sorry, I was asked to do that, but I forgot." Oh, classic.
Not talking to him ever again.
No, well, we should say at this point that we did tell you that our guest today was rather radio shy and reclusive and didn't like telling stories. So Christy has spent the whole morning in such a foul mood. It's been hilarious. I've really enjoyed myself.
I have spent the morning searching the internet for as many backup stories as possible, thinking we were not going to be able to get a peep out of our studio guest. But actually, I don't think we'll have any trouble whatsoever.
My favourite moment was when Jo texted to say, "Oh, sorry, I can't do today. Just can't do it."
I was furious, but
wish
I
I'd filmed
tried to
that.
be. I tried to be very diplomatic and say, because she said she had a headache, so she wasn't going to be able to do the show. And I said, "Okay, that's fine. Just get better." I think was my response.
We have put some banners up around the studio. Should apologise about the one that says "Birthday Boy," which I didn't even realise
That's
when
my
I stuck it
favourite.
up right next to you. But you mentioned Jamie, Jo, and to help us celebrate Chrissy's birthday, we are joined by a man who based his career on a fortune cookie. Jamie Lewis now heads up Bath and Bottle. Jamie, really?
That's pretty much true, yeah.
Okay. And what did the fortune cookie say?
The fortune cookie said to do what you love and fortune would follow.
But you did know from a very early age that you wanted to work in the food and drink industry, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. There was a lot of inspiration growing up. My family, none particularly the best cooks. My auntie was a trained chef. She was great. My granddad kind of taught me just to enjoy food, like to do, be fun with it. And yeah, I don't know. I remember watching Jamie Oliver. I read something the other day that said it was 17 years ago that the Naked Chef started. And
Wow, 17 years.
yeah, and I was 10, and I remember watching it and thinking, "Oh, he's cool. Like, this is what I should do."
How then did you end up in the House of Commons?
God, you have read that, haven't you? Yeah, I studied politics at uni, and thought, oh, I'll go and do wanted to be a parliamentary researcher. I enjoyed research, and I had I got lucky enough to get a six week internship, and I'd left after a week just because it was so dull.
It's good to, try things out
Yeah.
and see it's not for you. My favourite nugget of information that you put in the info that you sent to us was that your claim to fame is that you served Usain Bolt his 60 pre-race chicken nuggets before he smashed the 200-metre record at the Beijing Olympics.
Great pun there, by the way.
Thank you. I didn't even highlight that one. It just spoke for itself.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
60 nuggets.
60 nuggets pre-race and post-race. Apparently, I read afterwards, and I was kind of serving him like, "I'm coming to see you race tonight." What? What? Yeah, no.
Was it like, is this a thing that he does every time he goes out?
Apparently
is it like
so.
what they call like a tradition before he goes out to race?
60
was
nuggets. Do you think he runs so fast because he needs the toilet afterwards?
Maybe. No, it's the flight of the bird that he's ingesting to boost his speed. But why? How are you doing this, Jamie? Were you just working in a chicken shop or something?
I worked for McDonald's for 5 years as a manager for them, just while I was straight from school or during school, and just applied for the opportunity, and it came about, which I absolutely did not think that it would happen. But yeah, it was great. I was there for the whole of the Olympic Games. But no one believed me about the Usain Bolt story. I think he was on Top Gear like afterwards, and he said that he had 60 nuggets pre-race, and
And it was you?
and that was for the 200-metre win. Yeah.
Right, I know what I'm going to do before the parents' race at the next sports day. Oh, yeah.
Do you know what
Just
is
the
it
one.
like being
The
around
throne, the
three
iron throne.
women that are just
It's
chatterboxes?
quite overwhelming.
You can't get a word in, can you?
No.
He's normally so in control in the bar, and it's just, we've beaten him. Andy, so on Facebook, says Game of Thrones is a masterpiece, from crazy landscapes to the best costumes ever. But still, the most breathtaking moments for me are the simple conversations that occur every so often. The King and Queen in the first series springs to mind. You have to experience it all for these conversations to be as powerful as they are. It's the perfect antidote to Hollywood, and it's predictable, lowbrow, regurgitated nonsense. I think he's saying that about Hollywood as opposed to about Game of
I
Thrones.
told you, it's just like women today.
Don't say things like that.
Is that-
because the texts that are going to come in now? Oh dear.
It's a good point, that though, isn't it, Jamie? The dialogue is apparently brilliant in it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about just character driven. That's there's something for everyone. You can just watch it as visually quite stunning, or if you get into the characters, you can and then they killed off anyway. So you're gonna.
Did
They
you
just
know
rip them
it's
Yeah.
based on the War of the Roses? Did you know?
Well, it's based on a series of books, isn't it? More than anything, that were written by, yeah.
All right. Well, I was hoping that made me look intelligent, but somebody texted that in. So if that's not right, then it wasn't my fault.
Do you know what I would say? It sounds a bit sort of Shakespearean. From what everyone's saying, it sounds very, like if you think of Macbeth and Titus Andronicus and things like that.
Yeah.
It sounds like I know about these things. I just know that Shakespeare's a bit gruesome sometimes.
Don't think there was dragons in Shakespeare. Like, even maybe I know that.
Got
Okay.
fairies and things in Shakespeare, there, right?
True.
Yeah.
Oh dear me.
I tried to sound vaguely intelligent.
It failed. 19 minutes to 3. We are joined live in the studio by the man who served Usain Bolt his 60 pre-race nuggets. That's all I'm ever going to think, Jamie Lewis, whenever I see you now. That was before the runner smashed the 200-metre record at the Beijing Olympics. Interestingly, you also worked as a bellhop, and apparently that is the correct term, a bellhop for Disney in the Animal Kingdom Lodge Hotel for a summer season.
I did.
And what exactly did that involve?
Carrying bags to rooms. That was great.
Were you dressed up like the guy in Grand Budapest Hotel?
They had like a little safari outfit.
Oh, are there any photos of that?
There will be somewhere.
We'll find one.
Oh,
for
I'll have
you.
to dig one out. So just tell us, the Animal Kingdom, it's quite a different experience. You've got loads of animals around you,
Yeah, it's
presumably.
incredible. I don't know. I'd never been to Disney as a kid, so I still got that kind of driving in and seeing the castle as like a 20-year-old, getting all excited. But yeah, the hotel's like nothing you've ever kind of seen. There's just animals roaming around outside the bedrooms. It's really cool.
You know, when I've been to that hotel, it is so cool. But you know, when you had the interview at Disney, did you just have to have that plastic smile? Hi! And then you got the job.
Pretty much, yeah.
You just have to be happy all the time. I think
It's
it's
so
the
rigorous,
happiest place in the world.
If you want to be a character, like to dress up, or you have to be within like a certain height. You have to learn to write like I could do Mickey Mouse's autograph.
Can you?
I can, yeah.
Did you meet Mickey Mouse?
Yes. He's my boss.
Mickey
Mouse
Mouse was my boss.
Brilliant. Did you get a reference from him? Oh, please tell me you did.
Yeah. They do like when you ask for an official one, they send it out with like a kind of from the mouse.
Oh, Oh my
And they call him the mouse.
The mouse.
Yeah.
He's the mouse.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Don or something, doesn't it?
I understand. I mean, I've never actually been to Disney, but the Disney look after their employees really, really well. But they also work very hard to ensure that the members of the public don't see any of the backstage stuff. I mean, how tricky is that being an employee in that sort of environment?
They make it really easy for you. Like, for instance, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this. The ground floor, the Magic Kingdom, the main part's actually on top of like a 6-story building, and all the staff enter from behind, and you kind of like there's tunnels underneath that you can move around, because he didn't want anyone to see someone from like the Wild West area in like the space area. So they built all these tunnels underneath, and it's so bizarre. And you kind of pop up and you're like, oh wow, didn't they?
So the resorts really are best known for their attention to detail for the customer experience. What do you take from that as somebody who now heads up an establishment of your own?
Do you know what? That experience was probably the most valuable I've had. There was absolutely no expense spared. Like, they would do absolutely anything to ensure, whether the guest was right or wrong, they would just make them leave with a smile on their face. I remember someone's luggage getting wet, like being left outside, and they just said, right, here's the company card, like, take them to the gift shop, let them buy whatever they want. I think these people were like really modest, and I was like, and I was throwing in like toys for the kid and everything, being, no, it's fine, like, they've said I can spend whatever I want on you. Gave them like massages in like the spa for the parents. It was, yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
but they really go from giving all the secrets away now.
Is that what happens now when you go to maybe Bath and Bottle on Friday? You're not particularly happy with the service now? No,
yeah, there's this one customer, Joe Pack. She abuses that all the time.
Last question about Disney. Obviously, Americans very known for their tipping. Did you get some really good tips?
Yeah, they hated the British people. Like, they really, like, they were always like, they never tip. So, like, I don't know, I kind of come back and make sure I tell everyone now, but like, they really worried when they had an English guest coming through. But I don't know, like, I always did all right from it. I just chatted. They like an English accent, don't they? Saying that, actually, I didn't put this in my notes, but I served what's her name? Carrie from Sex and the City. Yeah. And but I was more impressed because Matthew Broderick was there as well. So I'm like, oh my god, this is Ferris Bueller.
Oh, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah,
Ferris Bueller.
Oh,
yeah.
Did they have their children with them? They've got.
They had the kids with them.
Oh, that's it. I'm done.
I cannot believe he mentioned Usain Bolt and not Ferris Bueller. I mean, forget Sarah Jessica Parker, but he is a legend.
Right. So then you did that. You did that for a summer. How did you end up over here, first of all, doing what you're doing?
I came over to work just for the summer down at 14 North. My fiance has family over here, so I kind of was invited over to come and to just help out for the summer, really. I was offered a job afterwards to come back as a trainee manager for them. Then it was that point in life, I think I'd been offered a job with Marriott on like a graduate scheme, and I was just, I don't know, I'm more about the independent side of things, and just fell in love with the place, fell in love with the island. It's just so much that can still, I think, be achieved within the food and drink industry. I mean, even since I got here 5 years ago, the landscape's completely changed. I think there's places like Noah doing the food assembly. People really need to get involved in that. I think really need to embrace that. I cooked a roast yesterday. Used chicken that I'd got from a butcher up north, veg from Bryrad. It was great. It's really good, and it's just nice to know that you've eaten that.
But how can you get the public to buy into that local produce idea more so? Because, I mean, you truly believe that's what we need to be doing.
I think people should just be proud. I think they should be proud that these people are doing. There are a lot of people doing great things. I think we need. I don't know. The town I'm from, Chesterfield, is one of the world's oldest market towns, and I found it really bizarre that on an island that is so proud of everything it produces, that there isn't a market. And there's the market hall down on the quay. That's just I think the college are using it at the minute. I think there's a little movement to try and get something going in there from a couple of ladies. But I think we really need to embrace it. We need to just all these local suppliers.
You think the government needs to be thinking more about food and drink?
Yeah.
How?
I think, again, this is something that's changed. I remember the first food and drink festival I went to over here, which was 5 years ago. I mean, they had like Ainsley Harriott coming over, doing his thing. But I wanted to go and get something to eat, And I went and there was one tent there. It was just like a burger van. And I was like, it's a food and drink festival about the island's food and drink. And it just wasn't possible. And I think, I don't know, maybe they heard me say that, but the last couple of years have been great. They have got people on board. And I think it's something they are proactive in trying to achieve. Maybe I'm just being impatient. I think we should just really need to go for it.
You were talking about how the landscape over here had changed even in the 5 years since you've been over here. And it's interesting. I walked past a restaurant in Douglas at 7:30 yesterday evening, and it was heaving. So this is no longer just a Friday, Saturday night pursuit, despite people nowadays maybe not having very much money. How sophisticated compared to where else you've been and you've worked would you say the Manx audience is now?
That's a good question. I think that exactly that. I think that people do need to not necessarily be educated, but you need to have these things on your doorstep so that you know good food and you've tried it. And I think probably 5 years ago I did come, there were only a handful of restaurants that you could enjoy. And I think that's the feedback you get from customers, that there are these things going on. What I find really strange at the minute is you've got Starbucks just opening. You've got Noah just starting to roast their own coffee. So whereas in the UK they kind of had the chain thing going on, and then the independents have kind of risen up. These are kind of happening side by side, and I find it really bizarre, like how excited people are by a big American chain again for an island that is so proud of its independence and so proud of what it can grow and achieve here.
Do you think the island is kind of, because I see people like yourself and Noah and Rock Food Concepts itself almost taking the Isle of Man like a sort of test bed, because you're always sort of trying new things, and there might be things like you say that have already been tried in different cities, like if you go around sort of Brighton or go to Ireland, go around Galway, places like that, they may already be doing this. But is it an exciting place to be because you can test things out?
It's great. It's a complete and utter blank canvas, and I think we do these pop-ups every bank holiday, more because it's an extra day. People have got the day off, they want to go and do something, so we try and bring something that people, that's not just Bath and Bottle. Again, I don't want that. People can become complacent. You can go to different cities in the UK. You can go for a night out in Liverpool, and it's really easy to go and do that and have something different. But it's nice to kind of bring that buzz on, particularly on bank holidays.
Right, I have come up to Laxey today, especially to the Fairy Cottage filling station to speak to Ruby. Hi, Ruby.
Hello.
Thanks for talking to us today. Thanks for taking time, because you never stop working, do you?
No.
Well, how many hours is this place open?
8 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening.
Tell us, how long have you been here for?
50 years.
50 years this month. Do you remember the opening day?
Yes, 6th of April, 1966.
Oh, look, we've got customers turning up now. Castletown Fuels, are these regulars?
No, he's home with the cold.
Do you need to do your stuff now, Ruby?
I need to open the door for him in the garage.
Come and say hello. Did you know she'd been here for 50 years?
Yeah, no, I read in the paper.
Just introduce yourself for me.
I'm Ian the Coleman.
What is it about this place, do you think, that keeps it running?
The friendly atmosphere, typical small but comfortable, you know what I mean, yeah, so it keeps it going, yeah. Keeps it on its toes.
Just tell us a little bit about what you're doing here today.
Delivering pre-packed coal, and we do smokeless fuel here as well, so yeah.
Well, I'll let you get on and do your job then. Okay. Thanks for saying hello.
Yeah, no problem.
Ruby's just running off to deal with the coal man.
I want to put 4 in the bunker and then the rest in the garage.
Yeah.
What is it you love about it?
Just enjoy doing this and meeting people.
Yeah, and the cottage is next door. Is that your residence, is it?
No, this is my residence here.
You actually live at the petrol station?
Yes, for 50 years, yes.
Was it a really busy place when you first opened?
Yes, it was busier then than what it is now.
Because you open almost every day of the year, aren't you?
Yes, except Christmas Day.
Who's this Ruby? Who's just turned up now?
Richard Henthorne.
Is this a regular?
He is, yes.
How often does Richard come along?
Oh, about every week.
My name's Richard Henthorne. I run the laundry at Laxey and a Laxey resident.
And how often do you come and visit Ruby?
About once a fortnight from a car, but also we have our company vans here, and we come up about once a week at least, or sometimes if not more, Ruby, and have been doing since we started back in 2003, and then before that I was coming up to get fuel when we used to do petrol here, since I moved into the village in 94. So yeah, a long time really, to be honest. And Ruby's always been here and always been smiling. You can't get a better weather report other than the one you get off of Ruby. If you want to know what the weather's going to be like in Laxey, come and ask Ruby, she'll tell you what it's like.
Go on then, give us an idea. What's it going to be like tomorrow, Ruby?
Showery.
She'll be right as well.
She's out here in all weathers as well, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. When you go past in the morning, she's here, the place is opened up, and you go past last thing at night, the place is opened up as well. And there has been the odd occasion where I've run into a bit of trouble and she's been closed and still sorted me out. So you cannot ask for better than that. Really, I'm delighted to support her for so long, and it's a great service you've given for so many years.
What is it you love about Laxey?
Just like the scenery. It's lovely.
But you presumably don't have very much time to enjoy it.
No, every time you go outside to serve a customer, you look over the sea.
Do you do much of the sort of lifting and carrying and things yourself?
No, just filling the oil drums up.
It's a mucky job for a woman, isn't it?
No, I don't mind. I don't mind getting my hands dirty. It's smelly.
So if you weren't doing this, is there anything else you'd like to be doing?
Not at the moment, no. No regrets, no.
As well as the fuel they do at the station, they also supply heating oil for your boiler. And without Andrew, I'd have been stuck since the bridge went in Laxey in December. We haven't been able to get fuel up our hill to wherever else we live. And so Andrew came up with 20-litre containers in his van, loads and loads of 20-litre containers, and filled my fuel tank up, by hand. We would have been stuck for Christmas heating without Andrew or without Ferry Cottage filling station.
Do you mind me asking what you've come here for today?
I've come for some bricks for the stove. For the wood burner, it's kept us warm all winter.
Oh, lovely.
But we do have the car, we do have a diesel car as well, and my husband has an account which is absolutely fantastic because he doesn't need any money on him. He just comes in, Ruby fills him up, and then I come once a month to settle his bill. I thought it's how most men like to shop, especially when they have, no hassle, and it's just wonderful. And she's always here. I don't think she ever has a day off.
With a smile.
With a smile, definitely.
When did you last have a holiday, Ruby?
14 years ago.
Where was it? Where did you go?
I went on a cruise.
I bet you just wanted to come home and do the filling station, didn't you?
Yeah.
This is regular.
£20.
£20, she knows it, see, already.
Do you know exactly what everybody wants?
Mostly, yeah.
How often do you come here?
Every week.
Every week. Why do you keep coming back here then?
Because she provides a great service, and she's an independent retailer, so she's great. Yeah.
Do you think it makes a difference to the community having someone like Ruby?
It definitely does, yeah. It's all over Facebook about her. Yeah, she's a little local celebrity, definitely, yeah.
Well, she's just this, I don't know, stalwart in the community, and she's run this station all these years. I can't, I still find it hard to comprehend, because all weathers, in and out, sometimes she gets 5 coats wet in a day, and yet every morning she's open. And sometimes if people are really struggling and they see that her car's parked outside and they knock on the door, she'll open up. I know it's probably a dying breed. A lot of people say, well, she's stupid to do it, but it's her life and she wants to do it. She is a community, a person, she wants to, and that's what she wants to, meet people.
Well done.
Well done, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, darling.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's just that in days gone by, women heard their birth stories in the context of an extended family.
Yeah.
Great-grandmothers would speak with grandmothers, with mothers, and whether the births were so-called positive or negative, it was all communicated in the context of family settings. And, by and large, the emphasis would be on kind of loving communications. Now people get their birth stories from a program that's fundamentally entertainment. And I'm kind of setting up a frame of reference that says, watch it, by all means, but remember your experience will be your own.
Yeah, that's a really good point, I think. And I've got to admit, because I don't have kids, but I cannot imagine anything worse than watching that programme if I was about to have a child.
Well, I tell you what, in the UK, we've got rising levels of tocophobia. And tocophobia is phobic response to birth. So it's not anxiety, it's a phobic response to birth. But we've got rising levels of primary tocophobia. So that means we've got women who have never had a birth experience before experiencing fear of birth. The kind of programs like One Born Every Minute probably bear some responsibility for that.
But you actually started out as a builder, though, didn't you?
Well, it depends on which article you read. I actually worked in a builder's merchants.
But how did you go from that, though, even so? From building merchants into birthing babies?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. I got kicked out of school for being disruptive. It was only sport that kept me at school. I got to the point where I was enjoying my life, but I was wondering, an existential crisis, if you like, what's it all about? I'm going to die one day. What's it all about? And that led me to consider nursing. And my best buddy, who I trained with as a nurse, became the first male midwife in Warwickshire. And he said to me, look, being a midwife has got nothing to do with gender. The word itself is a verb. It means to be with woman. It's who you're being when you're with woman. I kind of took that on board and got hooked. And at the time, there was only 61 of us out of 36,000 midwives.
What kind of reactions were you getting back then? Because obviously you would be quite a rare appearance in a birthing ward.
And I was big. I mean, shaved head, goatee beard, 26 stone plus. So, the old joke is I walk in the room and the woman says I called the midwife, not security. And I say, I am the midwife. And she goes, security? I would always make sure a woman, in principle, was comfortable with a man being there. And then after I'd met her and her partner, after about 20 minutes, I'd say, look, I'd really love to be involved with the birth of your family. It would be a real privilege. But if you feel any discomfort at me being here, I won't take it personally. And I think that kind of method of introducing yourself led to me having fabulous experiences. People I'm still in contact with now. Over 15, 16, 17 years after their baby's been born.
What a completely different experience you have in following a person growing up, having actually seen that exact moment they came into the world.
Oh, it's spectacular. I remember I was outside a leisure centre the other day because I still live in the area, and a woman walked past me with this 16-year-old boy, and she said, "You're Mark Harris, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah, I am, yeah." "Have you seen me on This Morning?" I was on This Morning last week. But anyway, she said, "No, you're my midwife." And she points to her son, and she says to him, "He was the one that brought you into the world." And I said, "Well, actually, I was just there. It was all you."
Oh, lovely.
So it is lovely. No, it is lovely.
Now, you mentioned talking to partners as well. How do you find that men in particular react to you being, at the business end of their wives or partners?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I have never had an issue with a man, and I think it's because I was very, very sensitive around, what is effectively very intimate care, and very deferential to a woman's choice, and just very tuned into how the man seems to be responding in that moment. I think when my wife died 8 years ago, it kind of led me to think, what kind of contribution can I make to the birth world that's unique? And that's when I started Birthing for Blokes. So I fundamentally now run a program that supports men and same-sex partners, but mainly men as they support their partners through pregnancy and birth. I wrote a book, Men, Love and Birth, and based on the program, really.
I love the fact that it's got this sort of alternative title of the Lad's Birthing Bible as well, which is great. And what do you find are the most frequently asked questions? What do guys want to know?
Over the 20-odd years, I've heard men say they felt powerless, they felt left out, they felt like at the time they wanted to offer support, they didn't know what to do. So the minute she's afraid, or the minute she's worrying about him, or the minute she's having to engage with questions, hormones are released in her body that inhibits oxytocin. And it's oxytocin in a woman that's responsible for her feeling good, but it's also responsible for keeping the birthing process going really well. So I always say to the groups that I run, look, are you in a felt sense of connection with her? Do you get a sense that she knows you're there just for her? Because when you're doing that, you're doing all that's necessary. It's the only thing that needs fixing.
Oh, until, of course, the woman starts screaming, "Get him out of here."
And that happens when a woman loses herself to that to the process of birth, there's an inhibition that comes that leads to all kinds of behaviours that a man isn't used to seeing. Often there's a lot of choice language. There's a lot of truth telling that comes out in that moment because her inhibitions seem to be swept aside.
So I'm intrigued to know, I mean, you mentioned obviously that you have children yourself. Did you let someone else take over the control then in the birth of your kids, I take it?
My two oldest sons were born at home, and with the birth of Joe, he came out a little bit slow to respond, which is not uncommon. But I do remember being lost in that moment, you know, to my own amygdala response and having to be told by one of my friends who was the midwife there to get a grip. So, in fact, she slapped me. She said, "Mark, stand down, slap."
Do you know what? Sometimes that's just needed. So have you got any idea then how many human beings you've brought into the world?
In the high hundreds. And it never grows old. I know it sounds cheesy, but there is nothing like that moment when the baby's head crowns, as we say, and you know the baby's about to be born. It's awesome. Yeah, it never grows old. But when my wife died, you know, I've been married for 20-odd years, and I never wanted to be with another woman, and I'm lucky enough to be in a great relationship again. But when she died in my arms at home, in the same room that my boys were born in, I knew that life wasn't going to turn out how it should. It was turning out how it does. And this is it. You know, the moment I'm in with you is it. And it sent me on a bit of a journey to rediscover those times in my life where I felt totally connected to others and to humanity. And being at birth is like nothing else. Teaching comes close, actually, when people have breakthroughs in learning. But birth, for me, there is nothing like it.
They're all top awards. I mean, you know me well, Christy. I'm not particularly great at taking praise, whether it's a police thing, it's a me thing. Every award and every recognition was the top in my eyes. It was good to be included with a group of really great people that I work with. But more importantly, to get away from talking about me, it was the public. The public got recognised yesterday for some amazing things that they did in their day-to-day life. We get paid for what we do. The public sometimes come across things and they have to make those spur-of-the-moment decisions to help out, to do something extraordinary. So they were the real humbling ones yesterday that I was pleased to be part of.
How important is that to the police to know that the public are there and ready to actually take part in incidents, to help out where necessary?
It's massive these days. I mean, you've heard all the news about our numbers are dwindling and it's all about financial and costs and trying to be as slick as we can with fewer numbers. We're recruiting more and we're getting more bobbies on the street. It's what we need. But we need the public because we can't be everywhere. So we need the eyes and ears. And sometimes we do need them to jump in and help us with people. And what I love and probably what makes my job easier is that the public are always willing to do that. We've built up a good relationship. I mean, it's what we say, we're the public and they help us out. It's brilliant.
No, I love what you're saying at the top of the interview here, just saying how, you know, you're not one for boasting. And I think that seems to be a general theme amongst the police, isn't it? Because I know when we've tried to speak to police before about some of the incredible things they have done, because they are incredible, some of the stuff that you guys have done, especially over the last year. There seem to be a lot of dramatic incidents over here. But the general theme seems to be, well, it was just another day in the office.
It is. It's a little bit of a police thing because at the end of the day, and it's right, this is the job that we choose to do. No one is forced into it, and it's a job we choose to do and we're paid to do. So we kind of just deal with it and we go to the horrible things. They're done, they're dusted, and we go on to the next one. So yesterday was a lovely, wonderful opportunity for me to share in some successes with my colleagues and my family. And then it was straight back, put my uniform on and back on to a PM shift.
We're talking this afternoon about how parents can support their children through exam time. Around 1,800 students will sit A-levels and GCSEs in more than 40 subjects from next Tuesday. Others will be sitting their International Baccalaureate exams. And our studio guest is Joel Smith, who's a secondary school advisor with the Department of Education and Children. So, Joel, then, when it comes to how you support your children, what is it that parents need to be doing?
I think showing an awareness in the exam period would be a start, knowing what exams their young people have at what time, in a kind of a schedule, and that schedule would be up somewhere in the house, but also being able to cook them a special tea, perhaps if they've worked particularly hard, or provide them with a bit of support and guidance with regards to how they're feeling would be really helpful. telling them that they need to have a break as well as get their head in the books. And it usually is, and not always, but a really nice time of the year weather-wise. So it's trying to maintain their focus while perhaps some of their peers are out and about, rather than doing what they need to do for their exams, which are obviously very imminent.
It wouldn't have been much of a problem revising this week, I imagine, with the
absolutely not.
snowstorms and whatever. But that revision schedule is quite an important thing, isn't it? Because I think there may be a tendency to sort of hammer that home and be quite strict about it. And you're saying, actually, you need to think about giving them that break.
They've got to build in breaks. I mean, they're going to be on social media anyway. And actually, there's a lot of great apps out there now for young people which will help them revise. And I think if they get the balance right between revising, some of them don't really know how to revise, and that's certainly the job of the schools, to give them guidance on memorising strategies and how they should display their notes around their room or around their workspace. Most schools now are really good at being able to condense information into a form which they can easily memorise, and hopefully the students that I've seen recently that are embarking on the exam period are very well prepared.
What are the signs then, as a parent or guardian, that you should be looking out for that sort of give you an indication that the stress is getting a little bit too much, maybe?
Yeah, I was speaking to Joe earlier, and I said, if they're particularly closed off, and Joe said, well, that's teenagers for you. They are by nature closed off a lot of the time. But if they're acting very much out of character, if they're showing signs of stress, if they're snappy, again, teenager traits, but in particular, if they want to be left alone, or if they're maybe not doing as much as maybe you think is necessary, there's going to be something underlying that. A lot of them talk to their peers a lot, and they worry about how much or how little their peers are doing, because they're being told, don't do too much for that exam, or you better get your head down for this one. So there's so many mixed messages out there that they're getting. And just a bit of strong parental guidance is certainly going to be worthwhile.
And what about parents sort of getting support? Is it a good idea, for example, to go and speak to the teachers and find out?
Yeah, we used to hold an evening actually when I worked over in England for parents actually invited in to go through revision techniques with their young people, and it was a really beneficial evening. We didn't get the attendance that we hoped. Some parents weren't perhaps as interested as others, but the ones that did come, I think, then played a pretty active role in their young people's education.
Do you know, I've never been offered that. And that's a really interesting point, because I have so many arguments with my daughter about revision, and she has one way of doing it. And, one of the ways now is always to listen to music while you're revising. And, that wasn't something that we used to do at all. So I'm having to get with the times, Mum, and I've never been taught what is the right technique.
Well, I would minimise distractions. So many young people now eat their dinner whilst watching telly and tweeting or putting something on Facebook, and I think they're just used to that way of living. And actually, when revising and when looking at notes and when in that zone, I think minimal distractions would be best. But build in breaks where you can go and watch Hollyoaks or something like that. Build in the breaks, and hopefully you won't be bombarded by it all.
Do you know, I watched Hollyoaks for the first time in ages last week. Wish I hadn't bothered.
Life lessons, isn't it? A bit like Geordie Shore, apparently.
Yeah. Anyway, but in terms of this stress then, I mean, is there a tendency for boys to be better at revision, for girls to be better at revision? What do you know about that? I would say
the girls certainly have the better revision notes, and that is they're vibrant, they're colourful in many ways, and I'm not being in any way derogatory when I say that. Boys' notes tend to be a little bit more scrawly and less organised, but that's me making generalisations. But that's from a career trying to help boys do the right thing and get it all in there.
That's so funny, because all of Molly's revision cards are full of writing, beautiful colours and everything, and I'm thinking, you're writing so much, but are you learning?
Yeah, exactly, and that is a danger actually, that they're constantly just regurgitating things, and are they actually? Is it going in? Have they got the learning skills and the learning power to actually remember it? And it's actually the exam system's still very much about knowledge, and
And what about on the day then, Joel? How do you sort of prepare your child for going in for the exam, but also sort of making the point that it's okay if it doesn't go to plan?
Yeah, I think making sure they have a decent breakfast is a good start. Health, food for thought almost, and making sure that you're there for a supporting hug, however it goes, really. And that's all you can do as a parent, I think.
Women Today, sponsored by City Wing. For business trips or family breaks, fly with citywing.com.
18 minutes to 3. This is Women Today with me, Jo Pack, and Christy DeHaven. We've also been joined in the studio by the wonderfully named, I'm going to say it right, Isle of Women trio. Yes.
Woman.
Yes, nailed it.
I was going to say that, but then I thought I'd just let her have it.
I know, that's the thing. I was just going to have my moment. I even boomed in the air and I even got that wrong, didn't I? Women. Catherine, Teresa and Amanda performing for us this evening at the Gaiety. So, Catherine, what's actually in store for us?
It's a very fun evening. It's fun for us, and we what we do is we make it different every time that we go on. So what the setup is of the evening is that we are creating an island that women would like to live on, basically. So that's why it's called the Isle of Women. And we decide whether or not certain things want to come with us, or we actually just want to ditch them and never have them again. So, for example, things like high heels, which can be a hot topic. You know, do we actually want to take them with us, or do we just want to say, no, we're not having any of those at all?
What is the general consensus of that?
Well,
normally?
so far,
Normally, no.
Yeah, they go.
Which is,
yeah. Although it was close, wasn't it, last time?
It was
I think we did in
close.
Brecon, and it was a pretty close call. We thought for the first time that perhaps we'd actually have to dance in our heels for the rest of the evening.
So you do actually, when they say something has to go, you actually
it
get
has to
rid
go.
of it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
goes.
Wow.
It goes.
Oh, hang on a minute.
except
Are
for
we
the
talking clothing and stuff?
No, we're not
No,
going to
no,
we don't strip.
There is
Okay.
no
Just
nudity.
That's a
in
different
this
show.
Just checking. But it's very interactive, isn't it? And the audience do get involved.
Yes, absolutely, and that's the beauty of that, and it means that it can go either way. So we have to be thinking on our feet all the time through the evening, and we have it. It's fresh every night for us. So it's really good fun. Really good
And
fun.
music-wise, there's a lot of singing, Teresa.
Yeah, absolutely. Catherine and I wrote all the music for the show, and yeah, there are some upbeat and funny, and some sort of poignant and slow. I mean, there's a good mix, good variation in there. So yeah.
How long did it take to put together?
Oh, good question. We were writing probably for about 6 months, weren't we, in total, from start to finish? Yeah,
Was that like in a quiet, darkened room with no disturbances?
I wish. If only life was like that. You could put yourself away, no.
So 6 months. What was the feeling like when you first performed the play, Amanda?
Well, I was really fortunate. I kind of came in at the middle of the run, but when I read it, I just thought it's great. It's really intelligent. It's very funny. It's very current. And I love that idea of, as an actress, having to think on my feet during a performance, because you rarely get that, really. You normally get a script and that's it. So it's kind of that really appealed to me. It's great. It's lovely to do a show with 2 other women and it be about women, which is really rare.
So I have to ask, are you true feminists, Teresa, would you say?
Absolutely, yeah, no, for sure. I absolutely believe that equality is right, and that is really what feminism is.
I was just going to say, Catherine, what do you believe to be a feminist is all about?
Yeah, well, exactly that, just that it's equality. And I think sometimes the connotation now that's associated with feminism can be a little bit negative and perhaps go a little bit too far and look like it's extreme. But actually, in reality, feminism, for me, is just equality.
And coming together, do you all get nerves before the show, before you get on stage? What's it like, just getting up on stage?
Yeah, it is. I don't think you ever lose, even after however many years in the business.
Yeah,
you still it's still that. And it's mainly adrenaline, isn't it? Which is a good thing. So it's adrenaline and nerves. So you feel a bit heightened.
Yeah, it would be a concern, I think, if you had nothing before you went on, because then you lose the excitement altogether, and you need to have that energy, I suppose, to push yourself through it. It's quite a big job for the 3 of us. We're on stage pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
And this is going around the UK.
Yeah, yes, it has done, yeah.
So how many shows in total are you doing?
Well, actually, this is its first time out, so we've been testing the product a little bit. So I think it's 8 this time. So we're nearly at the end of this run of 8, and then it's going to go out again later in the year.
Well, I can't think of a better place to come to, the Isle of Man. We're now changing it to the Isle of Woman, aren't we? So you all play a different part, don't you? Do you really believe in the part that you're playing, Amanda?
Well, yes. I mean, it's quite different to any part that I've played before. I'm playing the traditionalist, and that's but that for as an actress, it's great to have a challenge. So yeah, I mean, I kind of jumped at it, really. It's nice to do something completely different in terms of character.
When you say traditionalist, though, we have so many different viewpoints on that. Now tell me what you feel that would be.
Well, somebody who is all for traditional values and kind of is the least feminist in the play, but is a feminist in her own right, I think. But is very kind of believes in the traditional values of a man and a woman and the roles that they play within a kind of family.
And is that true for you?
Not necessarily, no, but that's what acting is.
And you're obviously very, very good at it, because Amanda, you're not shy of the stage though, are you? You have been in things before.
Yes, I have. I've done about 6 West End shows, I think, and I do voiceovers and stuff, so I just,
What is it that you love about it?
I just am a big show-off.
I love the fact you're admitting that.
I'm a big
You seem
show-off.
really shy to me, so...
So it's channeling that. Otherwise, I'll just annoy people all the time, just showing off everywhere.
Are you
So
the
it's
same?
nice.
Do you feel that sometimes you are the same on stage that you are off stage?
I am, completely. I think, I think so. Am I? I don't know. Ask the. Am I? Yes, I am.
Now,
so it's channeled on stage. That's a different.
No, maybe not. Teresa, your part in the play this evening.
Well, I'm the pianist, so I just provide the soundtrack.
How long have you been playing the piano for?
I started when I was about 2.5, actually. 3. I started just playing at the piano. My mum was a professional musician, and at the age of about 3, she said she thought I was getting into habits, and so I had started lessons at 4 and did my first concert at 5.
How can you encourage more youngsters to carry on playing the piano? Because do you know what? I played the piano when I was a youngster, primary, went on to secondary, still carried on playing the piano and the cello, funny enough. But then after secondary school, just gave it all up.
Yeah, I mean, I've done bits of teaching throughout my life, and I have taught a lot of adult pupils, and they all say that they learned when they were kids, they wish they'd carried on. And so that's basically the advice. My advice is that you know, just find what you enjoy. You don't necessarily have to go down the sort of exam route. If you enjoy playing, then go down that route. You know, if you can play popular music, you can play jazz. I'm very passionate about jazz, and opening that all up for, you know, anything that inspires you is what's important.
Do you think, though, that when it comes to maybe being a student, you can't have a piano in your student flat? So maybe that's where it becomes a problem, where you can't continue to play.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can certainly get keyboards. Keyboards are great. I mean, you know, they're cheap, and you know, I think that's a lot of my students went down that route. You know, it's just a much easier way of transporting and practicing and just and playing. You know, it's much easier to do it that way.
Escapism also.
Yeah, for sure.
Escapism also.
Yeah, for sure.
And Catherine, this is in aid of a local charity, I believe.
Yes, it is. Yeah, the Manx Breast Cancer Support Group. Who contacted us, actually, funnily enough, originally, because they found us on Facebook, because I believe that they do an event every year called Isle of Woman. Mm-hmm. And so they saw our picture and our logo, and got in touch with us and said, "Oh, look, we've got the same name." and I was talking to Carol from the charity, who's been absolutely brilliant. So we've teamed up with them, and we are doing a collection tonight. They're going to be there with all their leaflets and telling people about what they're doing, and also be doing a collection as well. And we're supporting them as a company. We're supporting them.
Still tickets available?
There are still tickets available, yes.
So go to the usual places, Villa
Gaiety box office. Yeah.
Find out, make sure that you get a ticket if you haven't got one already. So what's next for Isle of Woman?
For Isle of Woman, for this particular show, tomorrow we're in Shrewsbury, so we're carrying on. We need to get a very early ferry back over to the UK, which will be great. And then next week we're doing another show in Dorset, and then we'll be looking to take it out again later in the year. So.
But you also have some very exciting things happening next week, don't you, Catherine? You've got a release.
Yes, I do. Yes, you're right. Thank you very much for that, Christy. Yes, I do. Yes, I was in a film. It's a horror movie. So if anybody likes horror, it's a film called The Forgotten, and it's on DVD release next week. It's actually been in the iTunes chart for a bit, and it's been at number 1 in the iTunes horror chart for a while now, and it's getting incredible reviews, like 63 5-star reviews, and no one seems to be dissing it at all. So that's marvellous.
You know what? I wish we had another show to talk to these ladies. They're full of stories and information, so we'll have to get you back on air.
Did the servants gossip quite a lot about their employers then?
Most servants were probably very loyal to their mistresses and masters. And the gossip, I'm afraid, is mostly coming from me. So So the servants in our particular production are mostly loyal to our imaginary ladies of Ramsey. We've got some that are perhaps not quite so trustworthy, maybe, so keep your handbags to yourself. What our cast have been tasked with doing is that I've given them all the source material they need, so mostly brilliant stories from the Ramsey Courier, like I say, and then they've written their own scripts based on those stories. So I'm not going to tell you any more information because you know too much about the tours already, but one of them is about the governor on the Isle of Man and how his housekeeper was less than trustworthy and how that caused sort of panic throughout high society on the Isle of Man, who were thinking, can I trust my servant if the governor's servant's doing this?
There's some sort of printed off iPad screens. What's this all about?
It's all about Alice Gibb and her, we don't know what it is, relationship, I suppose, with a young man called Billy. It looks like iPads, but it's actually the text of the letters we've got in our archive from Billy to Alice. And you can see they started communicating in 1905 and he's still writing to her in 1920. What's really frustrating is that, of course, we don't have her letters to him. So we only have this sort of one-way communication, and he keeps asking her about an answer to his question, answer to my question all the time. And he signs off, "Goodbye, dearest, with all my love. Good night, darling, and write soon." Try to solve the difficult question we have before us. And we think that Alice wouldn't leave Janet, her sister. She didn't want to leave her with this formidable auntie, although that is supposition. Maybe she didn't like him at all.
I love this one at the end, which it looks like it's the final one, and the final line is just, "Tell me, Alice, will you say yes and come anyway?"
He'd gone to live in Canada at this point. He was trying to persuade her to go out there, and he calls her my cow-eyed girl at one point. It's very, very sweet. So
he was persistent.
He was very persistent. How lovely to have someone that persistent.
Amazing. So if people want to come along to this, how do they do so? Do they have to book in advance, or?
We are recommending people book in advance because actually we can only fit between 10 and 15 people per tour. The only option now is to contact the Grove directly to book. So you can telephone and book your place and then pay when you get here. And the Grove has had some problems in the past few years with the leaking water. In fact, I was talking to Manx Radio about it at the time, and that's all been fixed, which is fantastic. We've had to wait a whole year for the plasterwork to dry out. So last year, the main corridor of the house was looking very sorry for itself because all the plaster was off. But it's all replastered now and looks beautiful. So you should. So if nothing else, come and see the success of our roof repair.
Come and look at the plaster. Thanks for listening to our best bits of the week. If you missed any of last week's programmes and would like to hear them in full, you can listen on demand at manxradio.com for 7 days after broadcast. And you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at MR Women Today.
Don't sit in the slow lane. Join the fast lane right now with Shaw's all-new Superfast Plus broadband. Enjoy more bandwidth, amazing speeds and the best value on the island from just £23.95 per month. So don't be left behind. Get a piece of the high-speed action with Superfast Plus broadband from Shaw. For details, visit our stores in Douglas, Ramsey and Port Erin or click shaw.com. Love being Shaw. Terms and conditions apply.